recording, but like,
It's
fuck
a
yeah.
first.
Okay. So what I would just say, everybody at this house is using Thirdweb for the first time. Most of them, everyone is familiar with Web3. They've all applied to be in this house. I would make sure that like everyone has a really good idea on like what is Unlock, what's the value prop, what are some really good examples that are out there to help people wrap their minds around it. And then I would just make sure that that comes through, and then do your thing. Like Adam said, like this is a great workshop and he's seen it before. So I have to leave like 10 minutes early, so I won't be here the whole time. Mariano, my colleague, will. There we go. He'll be here in case you need any help, but like we're on his computer.
Awesome.
So unfortunately, the computer's going to be in a weird spot because we just don't have you're not going to see everyone beautifully, but they can all see you on a big TV right now.
All right. Hey, everyone. And feel free to come right here if you ask questions. It's going to be easier than if you are asking the big screen. So I don't know. The big screen is right there, I assume, or right here, I guess. But the small screen is right there, right? So come check out the small screen. First of all, nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Julien Genestoux. I'm the CEO and founder of Unlock Protocol. Unlock Protocol is a protocol for memberships. And we'll get into details of what a membership is maybe quickly. But first of all, this is going to be an interactive session. Do never, ever hesitate to ask questions, raise your arm, shout, interrupt me at any point. I'm here to answer a question more than to give you a lesson about anything. So, a protocol for membership. What does that mean? So, I think you're all familiar with Web3. Memberships are a concept that goes beyond Web3, I say, or predates Web3 in many ways. If you think about your Netflix account, that is a membership. You're a member of Netflix, and you can watch the video streams. I have some weird echo. I don't know if this is intentional, or if there's any way to make that.
Let me mute it.
All right, cool. So now I don't hear anybody shouting. So just come to the screen and say, hey, I'm here. But anyway, so memberships predate, obviously, Web3. Your Netflix account is a membership. Your Amazon Prime, if you're a Prime member, is a membership. Your gym membership, the little paper card that's in your wallet of the thing you're supposed to go once a week or maybe more than that, is a membership. What Unlock does, it tries to bring that concept of membership onto the chain. But there's many, many kinds of membership. You can think of membership that are, purchasable, the one that I described, Amazon Prime, Netflix, but also ones that are earned. Your diplomas are membership. It means that you're a member of your university or your school for that specific class of that specific year. Your driver license is a membership. You're a member of the DMV. How weird it sounds, that's true. A concert ticket is a membership. You're a member of the specific concert happening at any given time. So Unlock is trying to bring the concept of membership, all of these, to the chain. And I should mention the chains because to clarify for everyone, we support 8 different networks. I think pretty much the same that you guys support at Thirdweb. So the core protocol has been deployed on 8 different networks at this point. What does that mean to bring memberships to the chain? Well, that means that we have created a very specific contract. It's called the public lock, Unlock Protocol, public lock, and the memberships are called keys. We'll come back to this in a second. And that public lock contract support actually all of the use cases that I just described. So when you deploy it, or when your users deploy it through your application, they can set a lot of different terms, including, for example, the price of the membership. So for Netflix or Amazon Prime, you want obviously to charge for this. If you don't want people to buy them, you would not set the price, or we'd set a price of 0, and then we'll come back to that later. So people cannot necessarily buy that. You can set the price, but you can also set the currency. I think you're all familiar with Web3 concepts. So when you deploy your contract, you can pick the native currency of the chain that you're deploying on. If you deploy on mainnet, it's ETH. If you deploy on Optimism, it's Optimism ETH. If you deploy on Polygon, it's Matic. But you can also pick an ERC20 to be the currency. So you can say it's USDC, it's DAI, it's my special governance token that is an ERC20. And people will have to pay that token to get a membership NFT if you allow them to purchase them. So you also set the maximum supply that can be bought. So if you're doing Netflix or Amazon, obviously you don't want to cap that. You want to have as many members as possible. But if you're doing a physical gym membership, you might want to set a cap because it's not a good idea if 10,000 people show up at your small gym studio. Or if you're doing a ticket to a conference, similarly, you want to cap that with a maximum number of available memberships for sale. You will also set, and you don't have to, but there's default, but you can also set the cancellation terms, because people can cancel their memberships, the transfer terms, etc., etc. I should mention something really important. The contract itself is an improvement over ERC 721. So it basically supports all of the 721, which is the base NFT contract that you probably all know of, but it adds a bunch of things on top of this. So it has, the same function that's called balance off to get the balance of some of these memberships, to see how many people, or if someone has a membership or how many memberships they have. It supports, transfers by default, but you can disable or enable them as we just discussed, etc., etc. So anything that you can do with 721, you should be able to do that with Unlock, and then a ton of other things on top of that. What else should I tell you? Obviously, we support something that is really, really exciting, is the expiration timestamp. So if you think about normal NFTs, they're valid forever. Once I have the NFT, it's in my wallet, it's there forever. But if you consider a membership as a Netflix or as a gym membership, you don't want something that is valid forever. You want something that people have to renew every month or every week or every day, depending on what kind of business you're operating. And so each individual NFT inside of Unlock has an expiration. That expiration is set at mint time, because it's actually on-chain information about that NFT. When the NFT is created. So when somebody purchases the membership, the expiration is set based on what is the default duration on the smart contract. So if I deploy a membership contract and I say the default duration is going to be 30 days, and somebody buys their membership on February 1st, well, it's going to be valid for 30 days after that, which bad month takes us, I think, to March 2nd, because 30 days. Okay? If you set a duration of 5 hours and you buy now, well, 5 hours from now it's going to expire. What does it mean that it expired? It means that it's still on-chain, there's still an NFT, but the timestamp shows it as expired. So that means that, for example, the balance off function that I told you about earlier will return 0. There is no valid membership for that user if their membership is expired. It really is like the old membership card that's in your wallet that's expired at this point. It's still there, it still exists. But if you show up to the gym, they'll look at it and say, hey, sorry, it's expired, you can't use it. So your applications, basically, when they look at the NFT, and we'll define what it means to look at the NFT, will easily identify whether it's valid or not. And if it's expired, you should not give the benefits of the membership to users, which is giving them access to content or features or things like this. Does that make sense so far? And I see 3 people. If you can raise your hand with a finger, yes, just to make sure that 1, 2, and then red hat guy. Lots of thumbs up. Amazing. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So that's what we have. Another critical thing about the expiration date is that it enables for automatically recurring memberships. Obviously, your Netflix membership expires. Doesn't expire really every month, but it just gets renewed every month. So if I subscribe to Netflix now, 30 days from now, it will expire and then get renewed. My card is going to be charged again, and then prolonged by a month, right? With Unlock, it's the same concept. Every time a membership expired, it can be automatically renewed. We'll discuss about the automatic in a second, but the way this works is basically on membership that are ERC20, basically for which the currency is an ERC20. When the user is going to purchase the first time, we're going to ask them to approve the contract to spend their funds. So if it's USDC, the person, when they want to subscribe, they're going to approve the membership contract to spend some USDC. The amount that they're going to approve is really kind of how many times they want this thing to recur. So if the membership is 10 USDC and I approve 100 USDC, it can renew up to 10 times, because 10 times 10 equals 100. Obviously, if I approve an infinite amount, which is the max uint in Solidity, that means that basically my membership will never expire, or never in a human sense. For all intended purposes, it will never expire, because we would all be gone for a long time by the time this balance gets reduced to 0. What that means, though, is that even though I've approved, I might not have all of the tokens in my wallet. So I can approve this thing to spend, $1 million off of me. If I don't have $1 million, it's going to spend 10 by 10 by 10 by 10 until I run out of the USDC. But if at any point I re-up my USDC balance, the smart contract will be able to renew these memberships. Okay. As a user, if I don't want this to renew anymore, I have multiple options. I can actually cancel on the contract. The contract will at that point mark the membership as canceled and will not enable the renewals, or I can just drain my USDC wallet and move to another one. And at that point, since I don't have any USDC, the contract cannot do the renewals. I mentioned the contract does a renewal. It's actually not true. If you probably know that the contract don't have a way to send transactions themselves. The contract itself inside of Unlock has the concept of having basically decoupled the person who submit the transaction, sometimes called meta transaction, from the person who actually pays for the transaction. So when you have automatic renewal, basically anyone can submit the transaction to say, hey, I see the membership for token ID 725 is expired. Go renew it. And at that point, the contract will go fetch the ERC20 from the user's balance and then extend the membership of 725. I think that's what I used as a number. And then the user can continue. What's cool about that is like the contract has a mechanism to give a little kickback to the person who actually submitted that transaction to cover for gas. So if I see that somebody else's membership is expired, I will renew their membership, and then the smart contract will actually give me a little kickback to thank me for renewing the membership. Does that make sense for everyone? Yep. Cool. Awesome. That's good. Another little fact is like a cool thing about this feature is like you don't actually have to worry about this. When you create your application, the only thing that you have to worry about is asking the user to approve a large enough ERC20 amount. And then after this, basically, these memberships will automatically be renewed without your application having to do anything special. It's really like the credit card if you use Stripe or any of that, where you just say, oh, I'm going to charge this card. And then every month, it's going to be charged without having to manage this in your application. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to, basically. The only thing your application needs to be able to do is, on one side, allow the user to purchase the membership, which is approve the ERC20 and then submit the purchase transaction. And then on the other side, obviously check whether a given user has a membership. So far, so good? Some other cool things that the contract supports. Oh, maybe I have
a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So how are the gas fees managed? Like, does it happen at the time that you repay? And do you have to pay the gas fee every time? Or is that something that the person giving these out pays?
As a user, you have to send the first one. That's basically you submitting to the contract like, hey, I want to purchase this. So you have to, as a user, you have to send the first one. But after this, anybody can renew yours when it's expired, and they will pay the gas fee in that scenario, but the contract will give them a little kickback in that scenario. So you as a user don't have to worry about the renewals. You just approve the contract to spend 10 USDC from your wallet every month, and then the contract will basically allow anyone to get your 10 USDC to extend the purchase. Make sense?
Mine is a little bit more on currently, what is the blockchain that you guys are embedded in? Or I think you are multi-chain, right?
Yes, we're on. So Ethereum mainnet, and we'll talk about that in a second. Polygon, Gnosis Chain, Arbitrum, Optimism, Celo, Avalanche, and I'm forgetting one because I think we're on 8. But Binance, the Binance chain. We're also on Gertie testnet and Mumbai testnet, but also can deploy on other testnets if needed.
Okay. So and currently, from the projects that are in your platform, what is the blockchain that they use the most, or you see like the most projects
Polygon.
coming from?
Polygon is the most popular one. I'd say Polygon and Gnosis Chain. Yeah, Polygon is the most popular one, and then the other one is Gnosis Chain. The reason why they're the most popular is because gas is much cheaper. If you're charging $10 a month on your subscription and the gas cost is $7, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go on mainnet. So I would definitely recommend users not to use mainnet for these kind of use cases. If you're building, again, membership kind of application, Polygon, Optimism, Gnosis are all very good platforms to do that.
And do you know whether a couple of apps that they uses you in different blockchains?
No.
This can happen.
So you could actually, yes, you could definitely have an application that deploys contract on multiple chains. So basically users chooses. It usually adds complexity, but it's possible. So you can definitely in your application say, hey, this is a membership from this contract on this chain or a membership from that contract on that chain. It is possible. It just adds a bit of complexity on your side.
Yeah, and in this case, it doesn't make a lot of sense for apps to do that. And on, well, I don't know, like it really depends on what they are doing, right? And there are no ideas in terms of NFT bridging, at least not yet for you guys.
No, and I actually don't know what NFT bridging means. I mean, I know what it means probably for you, but like, you know, a non-fungible token doesn't really make sense to actually bridge it because it's the same address in the EVM ecosystem. So if you have your NFT on that chain, I can verify that you have it on this chain and not have to actually bring your NFT to another chain. Like I can query the RPC endpoint from any chain. My application can verify that you have it on any chain.
Yeah, it's because there are some people talking about like how if I have an NFT in Ethereum, can I or should I bring it to Polygon, for example, and make the transactions between this NFT in Polygon, which the gas fees are lower and those kind of things. But I mean, I'm just asking for
It really, I think it really is a question of what you want to do. If it's just for transfers, then yes, you would do that. But if it's for application that actually are giving you benefits, like think of a club, right? It doesn't, if it's on mainnet or if it's on Polygon, it actually is the same. It's like, it doesn't matter where it is, practically speaking, because my RPC endpoint, my application can check on any of these two chains. So the only reason why you would transfer this, when you would bridge it, would be to transfer it. I don't know that you want to transfer this a lot in any chain anyway, so it might not make a ton of sense to actually bridge it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Julien.
Of course. Just for context, we will soon have, but I think it's going to be too late for the hackathon here. We'll soon have what we call cross-chain purchases. So the idea that the user pays on one chain and gets the NFT on a different chain. As I said, your address, your Ethereum address is the same across network, right? It's like 0x123. It's the same anywhere. So you should be, and that's actually one thing that we're adding right now support for, be able to pay on a network. So I pay for the NFT on the Gnosis chain, and it appears on Polygon. I don't have to configure my wallet for Polygon because it's still linked to my address on that other network.
Nice. Sorry, I didn't realize I was still unmuted.
No, it's cool. So so where were that? Yeah. So other cool features that we have in the public lock smart contract. Obviously, I mentioned transferability of NFTs. You can enable, disable them. You can also have a way to capture fees when there's transfers. So we support that natively, obviously. We also have the concept of, for each individual NFT, you have an owner and what we call a manager. The owner is the wallet that actually is the owner of. So owner of NFT1 might be my address. The manager is the address that has a transfer right. By default, it's the same. So if you think about any famous NFT that you have, it's the same idea. But with Unlock, we've decoupled this optionally, which means that you can have situations where I can own an NFT membership on my hot wallet, the one that is kind of in a low trust environment, and then have it managed by my hardware wallet on a high trust environment. So that means that it cannot get stolen. Like if my hot wallet gets leaked, it's fine. I can just transfer it to another hot wallet of mine because the transfer rights are actually attached to my cold storage. So that creates kind of a much more efficient way of, a more secure way, I should say, of managing these memberships. You can also have situations where, I have a Netflix account and I want to lend it to my friend Mariano. I keep the transfer right for myself and I transfer ownership to Mariano. Mariano now can connect to Netflix and say, hey, I have this NFT, let me see that content. But when I'm back from vacation, I can take it back from Mariano because I kept the transfer right for myself. Make sense?
What about like memberships that can have like multiple members per account, like Netflix, right? Like you can have multiple users.
So
do you handle that, or?
We don't really handle that natively because the multisig does. So basically, the idea here would be to use something like a Gnosis safe, and then you would be able to use that. So that would work out of the box. If you use the Gnosis safe as the owner of the NFT, that you would have to use this. You probably want to have your application do some verification in terms of like, okay, that's the 1,000% are using the same Gnosis safe. That's not right. Let's make sure that that it's a single user or at least 2, 3, 5 users. But that would be possible. Yes, absolutely. other cool features that we have, and then after this, we'll jump into a demo, especially dev features. We have the concept of hooks on the smart contract. What do I mean here? As you understand, the contract has a bunch of capabilities. For example, it has purchase, it has transfer, it has the ability to airdrop, and we'll come to that in a minute. You can actually alter the behavior of the contract by using a hook. So we have an on-transfer hook, which basically is a way for you to say, whenever there's a transfer, call this other contract and then execute XYZ. I don't know what XYZ does, before finishing the transfer or after finishing the transfer. That allows you to customize the behavior of a lock contract to match certain business requirement that your application might have. We have a couple docs on this, so you should definitely check that out if that's interesting. But I think this is a very powerful feature. I'm going to maybe jump into a demo now, if you're cool with that. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm obviously not going to demo the Thirdweb part because I think that's the that's the thing that you probably are familiar with at this point. But actually, I'm actually going to try demoing the Thirdweb part. I mean, a Thirdweb part. So the way to deploy your membership contract would be to go to the Thirdweb application website, and then you would be able to pick. I actually don't know how to do that, but pick the public lock smart contract. Oh, here it is. Click on the deploy button here. And you'll end up on this page. We have a bunch of useful links and use case example that I just discussed. So feel free to click on each of these. You're pretty familiar with that part, which lets you see all of the function that the smart contract supports. You have the write function that modify the state and the read function. Again, this is the Thirdweb part, so I assume you're familiar with that. We have a bunch of events that are triggered by the contract. You probably are familiar with some of these as well. And then some code samples here that you've done before. What I'm going to do here is deploy a new lock. So I'm just going to click on deploy now, and you see that there's a bunch of base parameters that you can do. So the lock creator. Actually, I didn't discuss this, but these smart contracts, once you deploy them, there's obviously a role that is basically the manager, think of the root user of the smart contract, and that's the user that can do anything. And so whoever creates the smart contract is that address. So here I can pass anybody's address, and that's my address in that case. That address is going to be the first manager, and they're going to be the first user we can actually start changing the settings on the smart contract. You can set the duration. This is in seconds. Here I think that's 30 days. You'll have to do the math to do that. As I said, you can use an ERC20 as the currency. If you don't want to use an ERC20 as the currency and you want to use the base currency of the chain, you can use the 0 address here. You can set the price. I'm actually going to do something here. Let's do something. You would have to enter the right number of zeros, based on decimals. I think this is going to be 0.00 something. Let's actually get a couple. We'll see. The maximum number of memberships per sale. So here I put max uint, which means that basically there's no limit. I'm going to limit this to 10 memberships, and then my Miami House membership. So that's the name of the contract here, and I'm going to use Gertie for this test. So as you're pretty familiar with this, I can go ahead and click deploy here. My MetaMask, I'm using a hot wallet here, will prompt me to confirm the transaction. We'll have to wait for a couple seconds for this contract to be deployed. Oh, and let me check if there's any question here because I can't see you. Okay, no question. Good. Maybe I can put you on this side. Actually, I don't know how to do that. Well, I'll keep you here. There's a second transaction I think that that Thirdweb sends to set the the registry on chain, if I'm correct, for the ABI. So we'll have this done in a second. Hopefully. Yep, this was nope. I was not on the right account. This is the account that I'm using here. Okay, still not. That transaction hasn't been mined yet.
You could use Polygon. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, yep. Cool. All right. So now it's been deployed, and you have access to all of the functions on the contract. Again, you can make the calls you want. You can, it just behaves as you expect. If I click key price, you see the number that I put. If I find the name, you can see the name that I put, my Miami House membership. And the symbol is by default key, as I said. unlock protocol. The contract is called a lock, as you see the lock contract, and the individual NFT is called a key. And then from there, you can do pretty much like you would do with any other Thirdweb contract. I want to show you something else. At Unlock, we have built a dashboard, which is a way that you can view some data about your contracts, fairly similar to what you have on the Thirdweb, but really kind of built for Unlock here. So I'm going to connect my wallet, and you will see here, normal CWE flow, and you will see here that the contract that I just deployed through Thirdweb obviously is visible here. And the reason for this is obviously because the same blockchain gets accessed by multiple front ends. So your application will be able to access that if you use this, as well as Thirdweb's UI or the Unlock dashboard here. You can see a bunch of characteristics. You can see the address. Obviously, it's the same, 9843, and you have here 9843. You can go explore on the Gertie scan block explorer. You have the thing. One little trick, these locks, I should have mentioned, are upgradable by lock managers, and by default, Etherscan doesn't show the full ABI, but if you go and you do what I just did, you'll be able to actually view the same as you've just done, as you can see here as well. And you see that the price is 0.001. I didn't add enough zeros to actually make it to 1. The balance is currently 0 because nobody's purchased membership. It's valid for 30 days, as we said, and we haven't sold any. We also have a page where you can actually manage the contract independently. I'm going to quickly show you a bunch of things. So here, these are settings. You can change the name here. You can obviously also change the name from that UI. And so I think it would be, it's update lock config, I think. Yes, no, it's not here. Update lock. There's one of them. Actually, maybe that's the one. Yes, set lock metadata. So, I can change the name here. I can change the symbol. So I'm going to remove the my. I'm just going to use Miami House membership, and I'm going to say this is going to be a pass. And actually, that's a good point. You can set the base token URI to be anything you want, so that all of your NFTs, are using the same URI that we to host the metadata for these NFTs. I should mention this. These are NFTs. They have metadata like any other one. We at Unlock host, a base version of these metadata, but you're more than welcome inside of your application to take that over and then control it in the way you want. And you can even use a hook to customize and render that metadata on-chain. Going back here, so I can update the name, I can update the symbol, I can update the token URI. So these are the same thing that I just showed you. I can update the transfer, make them, are not transferable. I can change the duration from 30 days to anything that I want. I can change the number of available membership for sale. I should mention something. That only applies for the NFT that can be purchased. I can always airdrop, and I'll show that afterward, more than the number of membership that can be for sale. So if I'm doing something like the DMV where you don't want to sell anything, you would set 0, but then your application would be able to mint NFTs, or would be required to mint NFTs for people that have passed their driving exam in that example. You can also set, actually, that's a good one, the number of maximum membership a given address can have. So here, there's a, by default, 1 membership per address, and you can change that to 5, 10, 1,000 if you want. As I said, you can enable or disable cancellations. In terms of payment, you have a way to customize if you want to change this. We set a price, I think, right? Yeah, I think we have a bug here. We shouldn't show this. We should show the actual price. You can enable credit cards. That would only be possible if your price is above 50 cents. And credit card actually go through Stripe, so you have to go. I'm not going to go here, but you have to go through a little connection step to connect your smart contract with your Stripe account. And obviously, you can enable renewals here. That basically sets a little kickback for the people that are submitting the renewal transaction. I mentioned roles. So lock manager, when you create a lock, you're the first manager, but you can add another person to be a lock manager here. So just put their wallet address or the ENS here. Verifiers is very specific for events, so maybe we'll skip that for now. The last thing that I wanted to show you is the hooks, which is basically what I discussed. You can deploy contracts, and there's a link to the docs here, that would alter the behavior of the contract based on when there's a purchase, when there's a cancellation, when we verify that an NFT is valid, when you want to retrieve the token URI, the metadata, when something is transferred, when something is extended, or when something is granted. Make sense? I want to show you the airdrop tool. So we have a little tool here to do the airdrop, but obviously you can do that from the smart contract directly via the grant keys function. So actually, I'll show you here, grant keys here. So you can pass a bunch of addresses, the expiration for each of these NFTs that you're going to drop, as well as the manager for each of these. So again, arrays every time. These are all to be of the same size because each of them needs to have a recipient, an expiration, and a manager. And that's how you can airdrop NFTs. I'm actually going to do that from this UI here, and I'm going to use one of my. I'm going to use Patrick here. That's his ENS. We automatically resolve ENS. I can put his email address. If I put, he will get an email whenever the NFT has been minted for him. Number of keys to drop just one, and I can set when it expires. I'm going to make one for him that never expires, but I'm going to keep the key manager role here. Can I hide this? Yes. Ah, damn it. And then I'm just going to hit confirm. I could do, add 5, 10 of these if I wanted to at some point. Then I just click confirm, and that's calling the grant keys function on the contract, the one that I just showed you, obviously. And if I click confirm here, you will see that Patrick is going to get one of these NFT in his wallet in hopefully not too long, a couple seconds. In the meantime, is there any question? No? Okay, we're good. Gertie is slow. Oh, it's indexing now, so I think that happened. We also have subgraphs, so I think you're all familiar with the graph. And that's actually what we use on that front end. So if you want to build an application that retrieves a ton of data from the chain, it's pretty easier to actually do through the chain, through the graphs rather than through the RPC endpoints. And you can see Patrick's NFT here, put his email address, and that's his address. As I said, his membership is never expiring here. Another tool that I want to show you is the checkout URL. So let me actually show you another thing. Before that, the way that somebody would actually be able to purchase a donation is to call that purchase function. Purchase function is actually pretty complicated because there's a ton of stuff in it. So we'll actually go through that. First one is the array. So first you can purchase multiple memberships at once, which is why it's arrays every time. So if you want to purchase one, you just pass an array of 1. But if you want to purchase 5, you pass arrays of 5s. Oh yeah, Patrick just shared the OpenSea link to his NFT. You can actually go. I'm going to go check it out. Yes. So you'll see an NFT on chain. By default, my Miami house membership here. Oh, OpenSea is looking weird right now. Unlock key, that's his address, and that's the base, the default NFT metadata that we have. As I said, you can customize this. Maybe we'll do that if we have enough time at the end of the demo. So values would be the amount that you're willing to pay for each of these NFTs, because by default we made it so that users can pay more than the required price. And the reason for this is because we wanted to allow tipping. So if a membership costs $10, but I want to pay 11, I can, and I would pass here the 11 instead of 10. It also is a protection around ERC20 approvals, because if I approve 1,000 renewals of $10, that would be $10,000. But a malicious lock manager could, before my second transaction gets mine, change the price on the smart contract and then steal my $10,000 instead of stealing just 10, which is the price that I've set. You can actually pass multiple recipients, so I can buy NFTs or membership for other people. So I can pass my address plus 4 of my team members' addresses if I'm buying the membership for them. Refer is an interesting one. Well, maybe I'll come back to this at the end of the presentation. But here it's basically the address that would earn governance token from Unlock. So that's an interesting mechanism here. If you don't want to take care of this, you just pass the 0 address. Key managers are the people that are going to be able to manage each of these memberships. So in the context of where I purchase multiple membership, I can set each of these to be their own manager, or I can be the managers for each of these. And data is an arbitrary blob that I can pass that will get passed to the hook. So you can, for example, create a hook that would verify that something was done by passing some data here on the last argument. And obviously, if this is a native currency, you need to actually pay for the purchase, and so that's where you would set a number. As you see, this is pretty complicated. So we built a thing that we call the checkout builder, which is basically an interface, and you see it here on the left, that people can use to purchase membership. So in your application, if you don't want to necessarily deal with the complexity of having users or having to build that yourself, you can easily use our checkout builder. This is obviously an API and a bunch of JSON config, but you can customize everything here. So it's like, buy a membership. Okay. Here you can change the icon. Here I don't have one handy, but you can pass one. The redirect URL would be the redirect when people go back. So let's actually go through Thirdweb at the end of the flow. Oops, sorry, not here. Here I can make it persistent, so people cannot close it if it's embedded. I don't think it's that useful here. Let's keep these by default, and I can obviously also customize on the contract itself a bunch of things. So if I want to enable recurring, here that wouldn't work because this is not an ERC20 contract, so we wouldn't have a recurring possible here. I can change this. We have a couple cool features that are actually all using hooks. So CAPTCHA, custom hooks that we built, and you can check our docs to explain that. But I can have a CAPTCHA hook to make sure that only people that are real people buy and not bots or MEV or any of that. I can set a password that people have to type on the flow to make the purchase successful. And obviously that actually applies to the contract. That doesn't apply just to the front end. I can do promo codes. I can collect email addresses as part of the checkout. Actually, I'm going to do that. It's a fun one. And I can customize how many membership people can buy at once. And I can collect other information. So I can say, hey, full name here and mark it as required. So now I have my configuration, and that's a JSON object that you can download from here. And again, in our doc, we explain how to use that, but you see that it's a little bit of a JSON object, but it's also a URL that actually includes that. And I'm just going to open that URL and go through the flow myself. I'm going to start by not having my wallet connected. Sorry, I connected before, but so that's how it looks like. And you see I customized this to say buy a membership here. I'm just going to connect my wallet here. MetaMask is popping up. You're pretty familiar with that flow. I can click next, and I can customize the recipient if I wanted to. But here, this is for me. I'm going to put my email address. Right. Oops. Can't type. Next. I'm going to select the payment method here. We haven't enabled credit card, so it's just going to be my wallet here. And I'm going to go ahead and pay using crypto. You're familiar with that flow. MetaMask prompts me to purchase. I'm going to spend 0.001 Gertie ETH for that, plus some gas. That's actually more gas than the membership cost here. And so we'll have to wait for this to be mined. Again, you're pretty familiar with that flow. All right, this was mine. You can see here the details. It went from the address 0 to my address, token ID number 2 because Patrick has the number 1. And this is obviously the metadata. We can go see on OpenSea, actually. Let's click that. This is Patrick's, but if I click here, I assume I will see a second one. Yes. And this is number 2 here. That's mine. You see here. And I can go return to site. If I click here, I'm going to go back to Thirdweb. That's actually what I configured. Now I'm going to go back to the UI on the unlock side. You see there's 2 keys sold. Actually, I'm going to go here. And you see here there's 2 keys sold, 2 members. Balance actually lower than 0 right now. I can actually withdraw and get that 0.01 small amount back to my wallet. Mine is going to expire in 30 days, which is March 2nd, because that's the default. You see some of my metadata here. Maybe one cool thing I want to show you is the NFT customizing the metadata. So in the tools section here, you can edit NFT properties. So we can go ahead and update the NFT for, a specific token. So I'm going to update for the token ID number 2, which is mine. So it's going to say Julien's membership to Miami house. I can change the image URL 2.2 anything. Actually, I can type. And just going to pick a random image. This looks good, I guess. Copy image address. Put that in here. Oh, I don't know if that's going to work. Google, please give me the. Well, let's see. Actually, Right, let's see if that works. I can set a bunch of other metadata here. Let's actually do a custom one, and I say, I don't know, cool factor, and then we'll say hi. Cool, I'm going to save these properties. I have no idea if the metadata as a data URI is going to work, but where is OpenSea? Oh, here, this is mine. I'm going to refresh here. Obviously, you need to refresh the metadata. On the OpenSea side, let's see if that actually works. I don't know. Looks like it didn't work. Yes, it did. Cool. I'm surprised that it still says unlucky though. I think we've changed this to my Miami House. Oh yeah, my Miami House membership. It says at the top. I don't know why this one isn't changed. No, it should say Julien's membership. Oh, that is weird. It did show the image for a while. I think OpenSea is being facetious here. I don't. Yep. Okay. I guess there's some caching issue on the OpenSea side, but you see the image that I pasted here, and I can see probably the cool factor somewhere in here. No, they should have it. I saved it, right? I think. Refresh. Yeah, I think OpenSea is being facetious here, but they should show the right metadata. But anyway, you're seeing that you can actually update the metadata on each of these NFTs. Oh, yep, now it does. Julien's membership to the Miami House, and yep, cool factor is high. And only half of the memberships have this. I think Patrick's membership is not as cool as mine. Does that make sense for everyone? So maybe I'm going to stop presenting now and answer questions. I think we're roughly at the end of the time slot. But again, happy to answer any question that you guys have. In any case, oh, actually, we have a couple more minutes. Sorry. In any case, you're more than welcome to jump in our Discord to get some help. I try to be also in the Thirdweb Discord from time to time to get some help. And you have a bunch of links that we posted there earlier.
Perfect. Julien, thank you very much. So I do have a very quick question. When it comes to the applications that are using you, are there not applications, but like communities that use you to for the membership, right? So there's a membership or a community.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And is it possible for me to hear me out? So can you have multiples NFTs for the same community, and then in a sense you are able to filter those members so you can right?
Yes. So you would create multiple contracts. So you would have, I created one is the Miami House membership. I could create the Miami Gold House membership or whatever is a different level. And then basically, so in my application, I would just have to verify if the user has one or the other, or if they have the two, and then treat them differently based on this, like almost like badges. Absolutely possible. You can also, remember the checkout URL that I showed you? You can either configure it to actually show multiple options when people go buy a membership.
Yeah, so it's interesting because which platform I was using for my community is called Mint Kudos,
Yep. I've heard of them,
Yeah, so they are like currently they are for free. They are covering gas, and they are more like POAPs, but it's still like it's very interesting. They are NFTs based as well, and we are giving them to our members in our community. The thing is that it's very hard in a sense to they have the API, but it's not so great. There are a lot of things that we wanted to do, but now seeing what you're doing at Unlock, I feel that I will check it out because there are some amazing things that you can do instead that I'm very, very interested in applying to my community. So
yeah, and to clarify, I actually don't know enough about. I've heard of this, but I don't know enough, so I'm going to check it out. Do you know if you can bring your contract? Because in practice, you should be able to use the contract and the application themselves are decoupled, right? You should be able to bring any contract to the application, and that's the power of, I think, Thirdweb as an SDK, is like you can bring your contract and use that SDK to build your own applications. I don't know if Mint Kudos lets you, bring your own contract in that way. If that's the case, then that's the way to go.
Okay, now I will check it out definitely. You guys have some powerful things going on.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, thank you very much, Julien.
Of course.
Let me see if we have any other questions.
What are some of your like current use cases or current groups that you're working with that you're excited?
Yeah, so there is, for example, a community of financial advisors called CDAA. They're using Unlock as certifications. So they have a kind of an online class if you want. You have to go prove that you've learned a bunch of things. And at the end of it, you claim one of these membership NFTs. What's cool about this one is it expires every year. So you have to kind of prove that you're still up to current on your knowledge of this. There is one called Bakery, which is a DeFi portal. I don't know how you call this, where they have some articles about how to do certain things in the DeFi world, and some of these are token gated, and they're only for the DAO members that actually have a valid membership. There is Zedge, which is Ethereum Zrun. It's the virtual horse racing, and so there's this thing called Zedge, which is I think they frame this as kind of a Bloomberg for data insight about Zed, so you can breed the best horses. And they use Unlock for monetization of their content as well. There's definitely a lot of events that are using Unlock for ticketing. So if you're going to Denver in February, there's at least, I think, a dozen side events already that are either using or will use Unlock for ticketing there.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions we have.
What's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, I guess what's the best way to reach out to you to keep in contact?
Let me send you a link. Discord.unlock-protocol.com is usually considered to be the best way. So I'll paste that link. And we have a pretty active community of people that are helping in here. That just redirects to Discord. But that's a way to make sure that it's always current. Oh, and I think you're muted.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. This was very helpful, very insightful. Thanks for the time. We'll definitely all check it out and play around with it.
Awesome. That's amazing. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. It was nice to meet you all. Bye. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye. Patrick, you here?